Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I am going to do a live stream today, and it's something that I have sort of gone a little bit out of my comfort zone to do. So I hope that you receive it in the way that it's given, because it's given from a place of education and just being out there with some topics of discussion and some education on ways that we can get deeper into ourselves. So the topic today is prostate massage. Now, when I say that, maybe, you know, the guys, the only time they've ever had anything to do with their prostate being massaged is when they've been to their local doctor for a checkup, or maybe some men watching or women watching have had men in their lives affected by prostate issues, as prostate cancer and enlarged prostate and prostate issues. So it's a part of the male anatomy that it's very interesting, because it's a huge emotional center and it's a huge erogenous zone for males. And it's actually the place where the male G-spot resides. And so, that probably answers a lot of questions about a lot, if you have any questions. So what I would like to do today is just continue talking a little bit about that first. And I sort of showed you, I was thinking, how can I show you how to do a prostate massage utilizing what I had. So I was just going around the kitchen trying to think of all the things that I had that might help me out. And one of the most essential things is oil or lubrication. So make sure that you have plenty of oil and lube on hand if you're going to give this prostate massage, women, if you're going to give this to your man. So the reasons you would give a prostate massage to a man, it can be given as a very healing process, and I wouldn't just do it at any old time. Definitely, it's something that is very deeply private, and while a lot of men might go, yeah, I'm up for that, I'm up for anything, it's a sort of thing that can take a man, if it's done with the right intention, it can bring a man into a great deal of emotional release. So apart from being extremely pleasurable, sometimes before it's pleasurable, it can bring a man into a huge sense of overwhelming relief or release, or just being choked up with emotion, because that's an emotional center. And like I was said in my live stream yesterday, in our sex center and in our organs, in our pleasure center, it's where we hold a lot of trauma, we hold a lot of issues, we hold a lot of suppressed emotions, suppressed fears and suppressed guilt and suppressed blame and shame, so particularly if there's been sexual abuse or trauma or childhood issues or relationship issues and abandonment issues, these emotions can be trapped in the prostate for the man, just as they can be trapped in the cervix or the uterus or the ovaries for a woman. And as women, we present with ovarian cysts and cancers and fibroids and PCOS and endometriosis and all of those issues. So for a man, it's very rarely spoken about. So, of course there's testicular issues, but the prostate is something that potentially can be actually a very big issue, pardon the pun. So sometimes it can become quite enlarged, and, if you do a prostate massage on your man and you find that it feels quite large, which I'll explain in a moment, then that could be a sign that maybe he does need to go and have a checkup and see if if his PSA levels are on point. So without further ado, I would like to take you into how, if you would like to try this on your men, if you would like to receive this from your woman, how is the best way to go about giving and receiving a prostate massage. So the first thing is set the scene. absolutely set the scene. You know, you want a beautiful private space. You want maybe candles and, you know, a nice warm atmosphere, and you want complete trust. So I would definitely start with some connection. So, you know, it's a very tantric practice to connect with each other when you're doing something so tender and intimate. So first of all, you know, just go into obviously some warming up and some connection. So you could even sit opposite each other in the yab yum position, which is just with your legs intertwined, sitting opposite each other, and maybe just join your hands and just start breathing and looking at each other in the eyes and forming that connection, and just getting into a place, because you're going to be doing something new, going somewhere where you haven't gone. You know, you're both probably a little bit anxious or nervous or excited, and so just set the scene, bring yourselves into a beautiful space of trust and giving and receiving in the right energy. And if you don't feel that now is the time, well, move forward and do something else, and maybe for next time. But otherwise, you know, build that trust and get your breathing happening together, and look into each other's eyes, and build that rapport, that beautiful rapport that you have between you as a couple. And then what you're going to do, so I will go through what you would do if the man was lying on his back. So, but before, you know, when you do lie down on your back, guys, you know, just women, start massaging his thighs and his stomach and his legs and all around, and just gently, you know, really warming him up, and you know, setting the scene and getting into that beautiful relaxed state of receiving. And there is no hurry. So set yourself aside, like, you know, a good hour of time that you can have that's going to be uninterrupted, at least an hour uninterrupted, so that you don't feel like you're on an agenda and you've got a time limit and this is something that you have to hurry through. Because if it is, don't bother. You know, you want to have safety, you want to have trust, you want to have absolute integrity in this, from the giving and from the receiving. So, you know, really warm up, take your time in massaging and in just, you know, some foreplay, some pleasure, and just allowing, well, this is all about the man receiving, so it's all about the man, you know, and you know, if you've got some feathers to add into it, or some light fabric that you can really, you know, play around with, and just to awaken all of the senses in the man as you're giving him a beautiful sensual massage, using lots of really nice oil. So I would never use baby oil or anything like that. If you've got coconut oil or massage oil or some type of organic nice oil, it's going to be really nice and moisturizing for the skin, you know, definitely use that. So then what you're going to do is you want to have plenty of the oil or the lube on hand. So you're going to want to, you know, really make sure that you warm up the area. So then what you're going to do is just get plenty of lube around the area of the anus, okay? So the man's going to just bend his knees up, and maybe the woman can be sitting on one side with one knee up against her, and the other knee just up, propped up against a pillow. So the man's, you know, knees are bent and just opening out gently out to the side. Okay, so then what you'll want to do is yeah, just get plenty of lube, and, you know, put it all over the genitals. You know, just do some gentle massage as you warm up. And then when you gently go, so just, you know, don't go straight in. Don't do that. It's not a race, and it's extremely, you know, it's very vulnerable if a man hasn't been played with or touched there before, or experienced anything like this. So going into that area, you just want to, you know, just get yourself familiar first. So really get lots of lube happening around that area. And then, you know, just start going very, very gently, just a tiny little bit at a time, a tiny little bit at a time. And then, so I'm not sure which one of my props to use now, so I'm going to, I thought this might be a good one, because that's sort of, you know, I've got to make this playful, guys. I'm sorry, because as you can imagine, I'm here just talking to a camera and guiding you through this. So, you know, give me some support here. I thought this was going to be quite a good prop, but then I've also got this one, which, you know, it's like, that's huge, isn't it? So, and then I've got my little one there, of course. So I was just looking for anything that might be very helpful along the way. And then to give an indication of the size of the prostate, I've got a macadamia nut here, or a blueberry. Okay, so oh dear. Anyway, so when you do begin to do a little bit of penetration, and I'll go through a lot of, you know, the outcomes that you want to receive here after this as well. So what you want to do is just very, very gently and very slowly. Now, you're probably not wanting to go in, once you've gone in maybe past your first knuckle, just really, really gently, very gently, and just playing around as you go. And then inserting a little bit deeper up to about your second knuckle, because that gets in past the anal sphincter, which has, you know, has a voluntary contraction. You know, when you go to the toilet, you can squeeze your butt. So when you get into the secondary sphincter, and I'm not using medical terms here, but the next one, it's involuntary, so it's not going to have that, you know, if he tenses up, it's not going to, he has no control over that. So when you get through that one, that's where, if you just, the man's on his back, knees are bent, he's nice and relaxed, and you're just going to put your finger up, okay, and then it'll be like you're beckoning someone to come towards you. You just want to gently stroke, and you'll find something probably about the size of this blueberry, but it can be different. It can be different for everyone. So when you get in, and then you're just going to gently start stroking, you know, backwards towards the entrance, and then you can just play around. You can just massage it, and always checking in with your man and seeing how he's receiving it. And, you know, are you okay? Is this okay? Is it really uncomfortable? Would you like me to stop? Is it okay to continue? And he might just want to say, I'll tell you, I'm happy, just keep going, and I'll tell you if I need you to stop. But ask for feedback, you know, is it nice? And what are you feeling? So keep the conversation going. And begin just stroke it, and you can spend as much or as little time there as you want. Now, the man receiving this, he's obviously at this stage in a very vulnerable state. So as the woman, just really hold space for him. That's the most important thing. It's not a funny thing. It's not, you know, by this stage you should be in a really sacred space, because that's what, going so deep emotionally and into vulnerability, into a man's space, this is connected to his heart. A man's genitals and a man's heart are just intricately connected. And if you're going into such a deep place into a man's genitals, probably a place that he doesn't explore very often, if ever before, maybe a place he does hold shame around going around, maybe he won't be open to this for a long time, if ever. But opening the conversation is something that, you know, but even leading up to this, if you can just start, you know, maybe touching him in that area when you're having sex, when you're playing around, you know, and just warming him up to what it feels like, and if he's going to be open to this sort of thing. So it's, and then of course, don't just pull out, okay? So it's really, really slow, really gentle. Do not put a time limit on it, and just coming out when you're ready, and then of course just gently. Now, as a pleasurable thing, if you want to, you know, continue this, you can continue, you know, playing with everything at the same time, if you know what I mean, and that can be extremely pleasurable for the man. It's not about orgasm at this stage at all. It's about sensation, vulnerability, opening up and trust, and taking your man to a new place. And as a man, it's about you coming into a more open place where you can, explore yourself at a much deeper level, and feel what it's like to experience this sensation where maybe you've held a lot of emotional baggage or shame or blame or abandonment issues or fears, and don't be surprised, guys, this probably, I don't know, but if there's a lot of serious emotion that arises, allow it to come. You may feel really upset, some really deep emotions might come up. And so women, that's your cue to just hold space and be there with him. And when you do find it's time to finish and you very gently find your way, you might just want to cuddle afterwards. Okay, it might go the other way. The man might be so excited that you have an epic lovemaking session and feel closer than ever before. Okay, so I suppose some things to add to that would be, don't panic if you feel like you can't find it, because you might be, trying too hard, or maybe not in far enough, or, it's about experimentation. But using that knuckle thing, everyone's a little bit different, but that's a good guide, and just gently stroking up. You can also do it with the man facing down, flat down, and of course then you're going to be going like that, okay, stroking like that. So whichever way, the man just has to be really, really comfortable. So just remember, it's up towards the navel is where you're looking for. So there's don't be afraid of getting it wrong or not finding it or just fumbling around in the dark, so to speak. Try it. Have some some exploration and make sure that it's fully consensual and that there's plenty of space being held. And when I say hold space, for your man, just imagine that you're going through something extremely vulnerable as well. And when your man, you just want to hold him, hold space for him, allow him to express himself, really hear him and listen to him, and don't have any expectations. Go into this without any expectations, just as something that you would like to explore more deeply as a couple. Sometimes you've been together for years and years, and there's, you feel like you've done everything there could be to be done, and you find somewhere new to go, and it can be something that ignites something brand new in your man, in your relationship, in your life. It could help you overcome some barriers. It's a very, very healing technique. So look, feel free to send me any questions that you might have or comment, and I really hope this has been helpful, and thank you so much for holding space for me, and thank you for the beautiful people who are watching. I'm so appreciative of your support, and I know that this has been a very controversial topic, and it's taken me a lot of resolve to come on here and talk about this, but I'm very, very passionate about my work, very passionate. And, I only want to bring my knowledge, my expertise, what I've learnt through experience out to everybody there, because so many of the clients that I see, men and women alike, are not in... Many are in fulfilling relationships, don't get me wrong, but many people aren't in fulfilling relationships, and it's too good to leave, but is it too good to leave or is it too bad to stay? It's sort of like maybe they're in limbo and they're not sure, and maybe they're like, well, I really do love it, we really do love each other, but we want to go further. So there's often repressed emotions and suppressed emotions in a man, and if there's any way to really hold space for a man and to really get into some depths of emotion, this will be a really beautiful way to do it, a really beautiful way. And I think that there would be no greater honour than to do this with a man that you really, really love. And, you know, once you, you know, talk about it and go, you know, to a place that, like I said, be prepared for anything, have no expectations. It can be a very beautiful thing. So when you get past any judgment, when you get past any, you know, giggling or laughing or you know, jokes about it, try and, you know, see it for what it, and I know those of you who are watching probably aren't, hopefully, thinking about it that way anyway, but I really, really do want to thank you so much for your support and encouragement. And I take it as encouragement if you've continued watching. I'm very, very grateful, and thank you so much, because it has been a little bit confronting for me to come on here today and do this video. And I would love to bring more content on that is going to be of assistance, and that is going to help us all as individuals, as couples, and you know, just to live in our integrity, live in our highest integrity, live in our truth, and continue learning. It's just such a learning experience, you know, life. And I never for a moment thought that at this stage in my life I would be where I am now. I couldn't have imagined this for me. I don't know what I imagined, but this isn't what I imagined, you know, I would be living and breathing now. And you know, at any stage in your life, you can turn things around. Anything is possible. I'm a great believer that our sexual energy paves the way for our life. And on that note, I would really encourage you, as a woman especially, because a lot of women that I speak to don't self-pleasure very often. So if you're a woman, give yourself a challenge and self-pleasure yourself for the next 7 days in a row. And see how you change. See how your whole demeanor and mood changes. You know, set yourself some time for you. Rather than going shopping, rather than taking yourself out, rather than buying new clothes, rather than spoiling yourself with, you know, something tangible, go inward and spoil yourself with some self-pleasure and see what it does. I challenge you. Self-pleasure for 7 days in a row. No excuses, no excuses. Set yourself aside, you know, at least half an hour for the next 7 days. Go ahead, self-pleasure. And I almost guarantee you, people will say, what have you done? I'll have what she's having. Like, literally, seriously. Your whole demeanor changes. Everything changes, everything shifts. We start to come into self-love. That's true self-love, taking the time for you, feeding your soul on such a sensual sexual level. Our creative center, our center of gestation and birth for everything. Like I said in my live stream yesterday, it's not just about babies and giving birth. We all know that. But whereas, you know, especially as our children grow up, sometimes we think, oh no, we're shut down in that area, or oh no, my husband and I really don't have sex that much more any often, or oh no, I don't self-pleasure, no, I don't get the time for that. Make the time, because as women, our longevity is like, we're going to be here a long time, ladies, if we look after ourselves. Looking after ourselves in our soul. Now, our soul space is so connected to our genitals while we're in this physical body. So take the opportunity while you have this physical body and see where it can take you. See where you can explore the center of pleasure that we were given as a gift. It's our gift. It wouldn't be there, and it wouldn't be so important, and we wouldn't carry so much emotion, and hence so much disease and all of the things that, you know, that happen in that area. We wouldn't carry it so much if it wasn't so critical to look after, to nourish, to nurture, to pleasure, to receive and to give. Ladies, we have a receptacle. Our womb is our receptacle. Men, you have the giving capacity, the receiver and the giver. When they're put together on a beautiful level, the giving and the receiving, it becomes one. it becomes one. So when we open ourselves up to receive pleasure from our internal masculine and feminine, when we really turn that around, our whole life will become more balanced in our masculine and our feminine. If we tend to be too much in our feminine, our masculine energy will rise, because when you start to self-pleasure as a woman, you're receiving pleasure, which is a masculine thing to do as in that regard, in the sexual regard. So you're receiving the pleasure from your inner masculine. Your inner feminine is receiving it. She's letting down a guard, and she's receiving with love from her inner masculine. That's why take the time. Be gentle with yourself. Be loving to yourself. Don't rush it. Don't set the scene. Have a bath. Have oils. Have whatever. And and for a man, if you're self-pleasuring, slow it down as well. Just slow it down. Take your time. There's no rush. You're not a teenager anymore. You don't have to hide away and be filled with shame if you're going to self-pleasure. So I think that's about me for now. So thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your time and your energy, and I can really feel such a love coming through. And I really want to thank you, because I feel the genuine love pouring through. I really do. I'm so receptive of that, and I'm so very, very grateful for you for being here and holding this space for me. And I look forward to sharing with you again soon. So have a wonderful Friday and a beautiful weekend, and I will see you later. Bye.